Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less to build your business. Today, our guest is Julie Foucht. And when Julie decided that she needed to take her coaching business to the next level, she hired a high-end coach and learned to market like a man. She doubled and then tripled her income in less than a year. However, she felt drained, uninspired, and restless. Urged by spirit, she embraced her essential womanness and birthed a new way, the art of feminine marketing. Welcome, Julie. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It's so much fun to be here with you.
Yes, and I just love your business, the art of feminine marketing, because it's so needed for so many women today. And before we get into the feminine marketing, can you share a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's in that introduction that you gave that I thought to be successful in business, I had to follow the rules. I had to do it a certain way. I had to listen to what the guru said and apply it exactly the way they said it. And what happened is that left out my natural creativity. It left out my connection to source or God, the universe. It left out the things that really make me special and unique. And if you're going to be special and unique in the marketplace, you cannot be a copycat. Being a copycat gets you so far. And it did for me. It got me so far, but it just was exhausting.
Exactly.
To not be me. Yeah.
Yes. I love it that you can't be a copycat to be unique. I love that phrase. Absolutely love it. And as we start, can you explain what the art of feminine marketing is?
Yeah, absolutely. And the art of feminine marketing is something that came to me and said, hey, will you bring this into the world? There's a new way of doing business that needs to be presented to women in the world. And the art of feminine marketing is really a model that starts on the inside. It starts with your connection to source. It starts with your connection to your divine feminine. We look at what are your childhood wounds, and from your wounds, there's this really magic, Cindy, it's so cool. There's this magic secret sauce that we can actually create marketing that attracts exactly the right clients, and you become magnetic. And that's part of feminine marketing, because we're looking inside first. And then we design your strategies, not based on what a guru says you should do, but we design your strategies based on your own inner knowing, your connection to source on a spiritual level. Because in that level, we can see wider, we can see a bigger picture. And then we bring it down, let your divine masculine come in and support, and we take the actions in the physical world to make your business plan become a success.
It's interesting that you said wound. That's one of the questions that I have for you, because I did just read one of your blog posts. And in the blog post, you stated, within our childhood wounds are the keys to who we are here on the planet to serve, how we are uniquely designed to serve them, and the language that will lead them to us. Within the wound is the key to magnetic marketing. So can you elaborate a little bit more about how even to tap into those wounds, and how do our wounds have anything to do with magnetic marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say that this work is one of my mentors. I studied with him for over a year to learn this. And so it's really an in-depth piece. But basically what happens in our childhood, we have wounds. And for some people, it's like really horrific stuff. And for other people, it's like, you know, the day that my dad was tired and said, go away, I don't want to listen to you, right? Whatever it is. And we make up a belief about ourselves based on that wound. So I am stupid, I am worthless, I am less than. And we make that belief up because that's the only reason we can, in our childhood mind, think of for the reason this happened. It had to be me. When that happens, our soul begins to develop strategies to overcome the belief. Those strategies are the strengths and the skills that we will use to serve our divine right tribe. And so when we uncover that piece, we can uncover who it is we're meant to serve. And it's a really elegant process to do that. And as we go through that process of uncovering, certain words will begin to pop up over and over and over. And if you're working with someone who understands this process well, they'll capture those words, and that becomes your marketing language. And it's really a way of connecting deeply with your people. And when they hear that, then they go, oh, that's the person for me. She understands me. I've never even met her, and she understands me. And they will seek you out for that reason when you're using the language that touches them at the heart.
Okay, very, very good. I've never heard it explained quite that way before. That's really interesting, and I absolutely love it. I would like to tap to, I know a lot of people think that however they were wounded is who they're meant to serve, and that's not always true.
It's not exactly how they were wounded, but it is that your people will share the same wound you have. So
or the same beliefs, right? The same.
It's the same wound belief.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're meant to serve them because you've gone through the process of healing yourself from that wound, so you can help them to do the same thing.
Right. Okay, I absolutely love the way that you described that. Thank you. And to move back sort of to the feminine and masculine marketing here, what are some of the rules of masculine marketing strategies, and why don't they work for women?
Well, I think one of the things to understand is that women work differently than men. We are biologically designed differently. It just happens. So a masculine strategy looks like this. It goes up, and then you drive it, get some more information, drive it. Women are designed to work in a cycle, right? We have our own cycles in our bodies, and we have our own energy cycles that we move through. So when you have a woman trying to fit herself into this masculine strategy, she pushes, and ignores her own body's rhythm, ignores her connection to the moon, to Mama Earth, to all of this, then it becomes exhausting. And it's really, for women, it's more about following our cycles, following our rhythms, and following what works for us. And I actually think that's better for everyone. When we are designed, the high-end feminine leads, it's the way human beings are designed. That's where creativity happens. That's where connection happens. That's where thought leadership happens. That's where new ideas come from. And then the high-end masculine comes in to serve that. And the high-end masculine, which we all have feminine and masculine in us, whether we're men or women, the high-end masculine goes, okay, I love that new idea. How do we bring it into the world? What are the strategies that work for you? So I'll give you an example. I am often told, you need to do webinars. You need to do webinars, right? I'm right in the middle of promoting my big yearly annual gathering, and people are saying, you need to do webinars. And every time I touch in with my highest self and my connection to source, I hear, no, you need to do Facebook Live, right? And so there's this difference. Now, I can use Facebook Live the same way I can use a webinar. There's some technical things that are different. But that's how I've taken a strategy and said, how do I apply it to me?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of webinars, I do Facebook Live. And that's another keystone of feminine marketing, is that we're getting it from our inner knowing. Now, it doesn't mean we're not taking action. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean we're sitting around just meditating, which there's a whole arm of my practices, which is about meditating before I do a Facebook Live and, all of those practices. It doesn't mean we're just doing that. We are taking action, but we're doing action that supports the divine feminine and the essence of who we are.
Right. And also you say that the feminine speaks through words and stories. So can you share an example or two of how the feminine speaks through words and stories?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say I'm doing a piece of marketing and I say to you, I know the way to help you have a six-figure income, and so you must sign up with me. Like, it's pretty flat. Like, there's a couple of words there. People are like, oh, six-figure, yeah, I want that, but it's pretty flat. But if I say to you, 6 years ago, I was on the verge of making six figures, and I had a car accident, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't get up and do the activities. I could barely manage 3 hours a day. And what I discovered was a different way of doing business, a way where I could lean into my feminine, I could have more ease. And through that walk, I've done things like, have a photo shoot on the rocks at Sedona and take my women to New Orleans so they could experience being in their full feminine power. And those things have helped them create six-figure businesses. It helped me create a multi-six-figure business. Those are stories. And if we had more time, we could really go into the story of the photo shoot on the rocks in Sedona, or we could go into New Orleans, which was so much fun, and how those things really taught. And one of the things about going to New Orleans, here's another story. I had never been there before, and I took my clients there. And other leaders said, wow, that's really gutsy to do that. But business, you are always going someplace new if you're growing. And you are always in uncharted territory. And so one of the lessons about going someplace new, both for me and for the women, is we're going to show up and we're going to have the best event we've ever had, because we are in the unknown, because we are playing in the unveiling and the mystery. And that has helped my women take more chances in their own businesses. So that's the kind of story that I like to tell to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. And it all just goes back to following your own guidance. Everything, the stories, it's like you don't just want to state the facts. And as women, typically, we're not fact staters. We like elaborating and saying, we're not going to say the movie was good. We're going to say why we thought the movie was good. And, again, following your own inner guidance in your marketing.
Yeah. Clarissa, what is her name? Anyway, she wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. And she said there's different kinds of hearing. So we hear information with our ears, and then we hear art and music in our hearts, but stories we hear at a soul level, and stories call to us. And I really love that quote. I've always been a storyteller, and I love bringing that part of the magic into my business.
Yes.
And let me say this about stories. For your listeners, the stories have to be vulnerable. If I only told the stories where I am the big tough coach, they wouldn't have the meaning. You've got to hear the vulnerability. You've got to hear the places where, oh my gosh, I felt powerless today, or I really felt all alone today, and here's what I did to get out of that place.
Exactly. Julie, can you share a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to grow their business?
Yeah, actually, since we've been talking so much about vulnerability and visibility, my strategy would be to get on Facebook Live once, twice, 3 times a week. Just talk about your business. Talk about your journey. Talk about how you got here. Talk about what you do for your clients. Don't talk about your clients' stuff without their permission,
Right.
but you can talk about what you do for your clients and how it feels, and connect from the heart with the people that you are listening to. And before you do that, before you turn on Facebook Live, connect with them spiritually so that they know somehow to turn on Facebook and listen to you.
Mm-hmm. So with your Facebook, I like this strategy. I want to elaborate a little bit more on it. A lot of people are saying, before you go on Facebook Live, you have to know 3 things you're going to share, and you have to, share a tip, and you have to do this. But your strategy is just a little bit different, where you're just going and you're just sharing whatever's in your heart at that moment. And again, it goes back to storytelling.
Yeah, and I think some of that advice is really good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it really depends on how comfortable you are on camera, how comfortable you are doing the Facebook Live. And once you know that strategy, because I am not anti-strategy, I do think there is tons of value in those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And you take it and you learn it, and then you go inside and you go, okay, I talk to the energy of my business too, and I'll go, okay, business, here's a strategy. How do you feel about this?
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to tweak it? How do we want to make it unique? How do we want to make it fit for me? For me, I sometimes will have 3 things that I'm going to talk about on Facebook Live. And sometimes I'm just like, hey, this came up today and I want to get on here and talk about it. And never do I stay on script, because as I open up and I start to connect, source starts to speak through me, and I allow those words to come. And if I have a script, then number 1, it's not very interesting for people, but number 2, the information's just not as good as when I allow. And if you're in business, you've got an area of expertise that you know that you can riff on for an hour, guaranteed. If you allow your innate genius to come through, you can talk about it. And so, yes, I believe in preparation, and I believe there's a place for the feminine. The feminine operates in the mystery. And sometimes our preparation, I said I'm getting ready for my live event in February. Well, we have an outline. We have a container. We know what we're going to do, unless the feminine wants something else to happen. And then we will go down that road and we will follow. And it will be absolutely the most magnificent thing for the people who are there. It will be the right thing. And that's how you approach your Facebook Lives. And even if you flub up, you can say, hey, guys, I flubbed up on that one. And people will love you more for that.
I really, really love that. And I mean, basically, what I'm hearing you say is the first thing that you do, you may have an outline, but you're not going to follow a script. But regardless what you do, you always tap into your feminine, into your inner guidance before you go on. Then you allow yourself to speak through source, and that's how you're connecting to people. That's how you're sharing your stories. Whereas this is even, I think, going back to your wounds, it's with a lot of us believe, or even the male marketing strategies, that you have to do step 1, step 2, step 3. And I believe a lot of that probably comes from wounds. So it's letting go of that wound, that it has to be A, B, C, D, and just following what's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing that the strategy has value, but only as far as it works for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the marriage of the masculine and feminine.
I always say that any strategy will work for the right person at the right time with the right mindset.
Yeah, and can I add, if they have taken the time to connect with their inner knowing, whether that be the energy of their business or their highest self or just their direct connection with source, and allowed that divine, spiritual, soulful energy, whatever you want to call it, allowed that to permeate the strategy, then yeah,
Yeah. And
I
whenever I
agree.
say right mindset, that's sort of with me. It's like tuning into your inner guidance. Yeah. Type thing. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
A wealth of information. And I know that you have a wonderful gift for our community. So can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, I put together the Art of Feminine Marketing Guidebook. The subtitle is How to Make Money Being Dangerously Different. Because when you are on a path as a thought leader, which I know all of your audience members are, you're going to be in uncharted territory, right? Nobody else, if you're a leader, nobody else has laid the pathway. And sometimes that can feel really dangerous. And so I have given, if you're out there with your machete in the grass and you don't know if there's tigers on the other side of the field, that can feel really dangerous. You end up making mistakes. You end up doing things where you're like, oh, that didn't work. But then that's also the way that you have the biggest impact on people. And so I put together a guidebook. It outlines 7 keys to pay attention to as you move forward. Talks a lot more about this connection that you and I have been talking about, and people can get it absolutely free. And
it's a wonderful gift.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, what you want to do is you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/J's and Julie, F is in Foucht. So it's bizsuccessin15.com/JF, and grab your copy of The Art of Feminine Marketing, How to Get Paid by Being Dangerously Different. I love that title, Being Dangerously Different. Just being completely, fully authentic and be who you are. That's what dangerously different is to me. And Julie, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, we're at the start of a new year, and I just want to say to everybody, this is going to be a fabulous year for you. I know it. Reach out, find sisters that you can build with, find mentors who will guide you, find people that support you, because this year it's just, the numbers are lining up for this to be just like an amazing, fabulous year. So don't wait, grab now, get everything you need now, grab those resources now and move yourself forward. Source wants you to be wealthy. Source wants you to live a juicy, abundant, amazing life. Source does not want you to suffer. And so you need to take the actions that will connect you more with Source so you can do that.
Right, absolutely love that. Thank you very much. And so to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. And you want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/JF, and you're going to find all links from today's show. You'll be able to re-listen to Julie's words of wisdom and catch up on any past episodes that you might have missed. And Julie, I want to say thank you very much for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to our listeners, head on over again to bizsuccessin15.com/JF. Grab your copy of The Art of Feminine Marketing, How to Get Paid by Being Dangerously Different. Big hugs, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Biz Success in 15. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.